What are the key site supervisor responsibilities? Most important are promoting the AmeriCorps experience by exhibiting program and AmeriCorps signage at the site and promoting AmeriCorps and KY ReadyCorps on sites, websites, and social media, and encouraging members to wear their AmeriCorps gear. It's also important to provide members sufficient service hours so they can successfully complete their service term. We always appreciate prompt checking and approving member service hours on Encore and promptly addressing and reporting member violations, including performance issues. The KY ReadyCorps members should have a thorough on-site orientation, which is crucial for setting the tone of the member's service term. Members should be introduced to the mission and values of the organization and to staff and partner organizations involved in the project. Members should be aware of site policies and procedures, and attendance and other policies should be reviewed and agreed upon during the member's first week of service. On-site orientation can also help assess training needs, identify member skills needed to accomplish the assignments and tasks. Your organization is considered a partner to KY ReadyCorps, and both the organization and the site supervisor are responsible for our members and all AmeriCorps policies and procedures that govern service sites while they serve with you. The KY ReadyCorps program and AmeriCorps require that site supervisors meet regularly with their members, a minimum of once per week during the member term of service. Although our members are talented self-starters, they need and expect a strong connection to the organization they serve and the guidance you offer. Members often look to their site supervisor as a mentor. KY ReadyCorps service sites must provide space and equipment for successful service for our members. If members work remotely, it is important to assess whether they have the necessary tools to complete their tasks. Members should not be relied upon to use their own equipment for on-site or remote service. Monitor remote service carefully to ensure the equipment is not an undue burden on the member. Reimburse or otherwise provide for the member's site project travel if it is needed. Our members are reimbursed by the KY ReadyCorps program only for travel for program-required trainings and events. Sites are responsible for reimbursing member travel necessary for the site project or provide a vehicle for member use for such travel. AmeriCorps and Serve Kentucky require that sites display the prohibited activities poster where the member serves, if the member is serving on site. Site supervisors are also charged with ensuring that the member does not engage in prohibited activities at the site. This includes intervening with and reporting to the program about any member violations of prohibited activities. Do not hesitate to contact the KY ReadyCorps Program Director with questions about member prohibited activities. KY ReadyCorps member service hours must be tracked and documented per CNCS and Serve Kentucky policies, and our program uses Encore reporting for this purpose. You will receive specific training on using Encore to approve member timesheets, and the site supervisor is responsible for checking their accuracy and promptly approving them per a calendar that will be provided to you. If your member needs to serve remotely, there should be an additional remote service plan in place, similar to the work plan, such that the site supervisor can document and therefore appropriately approve those service hours. Our members are required per CNCS and Serve Kentucky to report once a month on data collected through their service. Our program has specific performance measures that we must report on in terms of number of individuals helped with disaster or emergency preparedness and educated about disaster or emergency preparedness. Site supervisors and members will receive specific training on data collection possibilities and techniques so members can successfully report on these numbers. AmeriCorps and Serve Kentucky require that program staff visit sites at least once per service term. If a member is serving more than one semester, an additional site visit may take place, and site visits may be increased in order to more fully support the site supervisor and member if necessary. Site visits are always announced, and a site survey may be distributed prior to the visit to guide the conversation. Although the site may have its own evaluation procedure, our members must be evaluated at end of term in 1 semester of service or mid and end of term, 2 semesters of service. The KY Ready Corps program prepares and administers the survey, and the site supervisor is required to meet with the member to review it and make plans, if necessary, for member performance improvement. AmeriCorps sets limits to what kinds of service and the amount of service members may engage in. Most of member service hours, at least 65%, need to be in actual service, either direct service or capacity building activities. No more than 10% of member service hours can be involved in fundraising, and only certain kinds of fundraising member activities are allowed. More on that later. Member training is necessary but cannot be the bulk of member service. All of our member training hours cannot exceed 10% of the total KY Ready Corps member service hours in a given grant year. KY Ready Corps program staff are able to track this based on the service categories the members use when they log their time on Encore. Site supervisors need to also check these categories before approving service hours on Encore. Finally, the required reporting, including timekeeping and data reporting, should not exceed 5% of member total service hours. AmeriCorps members are prohibited from certain types of activities while serving or while wearing gear on their personal time. Members receive in-depth training on prohibited activities, but I will merely summarize them here. They are outlined in detail in the Site Supervisor Handbook. So when and how do these prohibited activities apply? To any time that is charged to the AmeriCorps grant, which pays for our KY Ready Corps program. That includes member service activities. Now, members can engage in these otherwise prohibited activities if they do so on their own personal time and if they do not wear gear or identify themselves with AmeriCorps. This includes posts on members' personal social media accounts. So why all this emphasis on prohibited activities? AmeriCorps is a federal program that receives bipartisan support. KY Ready Corps receives funding from CNCS and AmeriCorps. CNCS and AmeriCorps set specific rules on how AmeriCorps funds may be used and rules on services that members can provide. The KY Ready Corps program must, therefore, be aware of and fully comply with rules and policies that govern AmeriCorps service. Because the work of AmeriCorps is so beneficial to communities and organizations, and because of the bipartisan support it receives, CNCS and AmeriCorps want to continue to receive increased funding. So we need your help in ensuring members do not engage in prohibited activities that would put that funding and our KY Ready Corps program at risk of losing it. Prohibited activities are defined as those that site staff and volunteers, if they receive CNCS or AmeriCorps or KY Ready Corps grant funds, and members who definitely do, may not engage in while charging time to the AmeriCorps program, accumulating service or training hours, or otherwise performing activities supported by the AmeriCorps program or CNCS. Prohibited activities fall into 5 general categories: political activity or advocacy, religious activity, benefiting for-profit entities, voter registration, and abortion services. Prohibited political activity and advocacy activities include attempting to influence legislation, organizing in protests, petitions, boycotts, or strikes, assisting, promoting, or deterring union organizing, impairing existing contracts for services or collective bargaining agreements, engaging in partisan political activities or other activities designed to influence the outcome of an election to any public office, participating in or endorsing events or activities that are likely to include advocacy for or against political parties, political platforms, political candidates, proposed legislation, or elected officials. For example, is the Black Lives Matter movement considered a prohibited activity under these rules? Not at this time. In fact, members may wear or display items and information about BLM and any other issue advocacy groups as long as there is no apparent connection or association with partisan politics or partisan political groups. AmeriCorps members often serve with faith-based organizations. However, member service in such organizations cannot include engaging in religious instruction, conducting worship services, providing instruction as part of a program that includes mandatory religious instruction or worship, constructing or operating facilities devoted to religious instruction or worship, maintaining facilities primarily or inherently devoted to religious instruction or worship, or engaging in any form of religious proselytization. Other CNCS and AmeriCorps prohibited activities include providing direct benefits to a business organized for profit, a labor union, a partisan political organization, a nonprofit organization that fails to comply with the restrictions of a 501c3, and an organization engaged in the religious activities described in the previous slide unless CNCS assistance is not used to support those religious activities. CNCS has additional rules governing member activities and program policies. One is fundraising. Members can fundraise, but only in direct support of program or site activities. Members cannot raise funds to cover their living allowance, or for operating expenses, or for any endowment. Any member fundraising cannot exceed 10% of their total service hours. Members can help with site grant writing as long as funding will not support those already stated activities prohibited above. Members cannot write grants to CNCS or any other federal agency as part of their site activities, but they can engage in grant writing. Other CNCS and KY Ready Corps program policies and procedures that site supervisors and other staff need to know about are outlined in the site supervisor and member handbooks. They include non-duplication and non-displacement. Member activities and the project they work on must not duplicate or replicate any activity already available at your organization. AmeriCorps members must work on a unique project. The KY Ready Corps program ensures this when we ask that sites prepare a project proposal prior to signing a site agreement. Members must not displace an employee or position or volunteer in the project or assignment. Members must not perform services or duties or engage in activities otherwise performed by an employee. That does not mean members can't help out now and then with site tasks. It means the majority of an AmeriCorps member's time must be spent on a special project that does not displace or replace any existing project or employee volunteer. It probably goes without saying that we expect the site to be a drug-free workplace, and along with our members, adhere to the Drug-Free Workplace Act. Both members and persons at the service site are prohibited by that act from unlawful manufacture, distribution, dispensation, possession of, or use of controlled substances. If a member is convicted of unlawful drug use or distribution, they must notify the KY Ready Corps program director within 5 days of the conviction, and members may be terminated for that violation. If violations occur within the site and site staff, the member may be removed from the project and the site denied further assistance of the KY Ready Corps program. CNCS and the KY Ready Corps program also prohibit all forms of discrimination. If a member feels they have been discriminated against, they follow the complaint procedure using the contact information in their handbook. The site receives this information in the site supervisor handbook as well. Members are aware that the discrimination complaints can be filed with local and state agencies responsible for resolution, and their complaints may also be taken to CNCS. A first step for members is always putting their complaint in writing and informing the KY Ready Corps program director of the alleged discrimination. Both EKU and AmeriCorps require that programs have a grievance policy in place for members' use. The steps involved are outlined in both the member and site handbooks. The KY Ready Corps member grievance procedure is a four-step process that begins with documenting issues in writing and informing KY Ready Corps staff. However, members are within their rights to take the grievance issues directly to EKU Human Resources Office as well, especially if the alleged grievance involves KY Ready Corps staff. Note that a member grievance must be filed no later than 1 year after the alleged occurrence. Thanks for attending to this site supervisor training. The most important takeaways are: stay in regular contact with your members, orient your members to the site and organizational culture, closely monitor member timesheets to ensure that members are not engaging in prohibited activities, members are logging their time in the proper categories, members are submitting them in a timely way so you can approve them promptly. Create and adhere to the member work plan. If changes need to be made, contact KY Ready Corps staff. And promptly report any issues with member performance to the KY Ready Corps staff so we can help with interventions. AmeriCorps service is a learning experience, and we want the member to be successful and the site to be satisfied with our members' service. Thank you so much for your willingness to partner with us and work with our KY Ready Corps members. Please contact Julie Struck with any questions or concerns about this training.